Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankara Acharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad-padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badharayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishwaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyoma Vatvyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Shri Medha Dakshina Murti Swamine Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatva Manusandhadami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sankapadakramopanishadaihi Gayantiyam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Dadgatena Manasa Pashyantiyam Yoginaha Yasyantanna Vidhusura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. So, namaste once again, everyone.
Namaskaram, Guruji.
Shruti vipratipannate yadha sthasyati nischala samadha vachala buddhihi tadha yogamavapsyasi. So, in the last class, we were discussing two significant words in this sloka, which are the Achala and Nischala. So as we have been seeing, moksha, liberation, or as we say, freedom from the bondage of samsara, is gained only through the knowledge of the self, that is through Atma Jnanam. And this Atma Jnanam is not merely a theoretical knowledge or a knowledge at the intellectual level. This knowledge has to be assimilated very well, and only then the stated benefit of this knowledge will be gained. And assimilation of this knowledge, for that matter, any knowledge can take place only when this knowledge is free from two obstacles. Which are those obstacles we saw in the last class? The first one was called samshaya, and the second one is called viparyaya. These are two powerful obstacles to knowledge, and therefore, even after gaining this knowledge, one should eliminate these two obstacles. And of course, Shastra gives appropriate exercises for that, appropriate sadhanas are there. We will discuss all that later. So when a person has removed these two obstacles, the self-knowledge is complete. And therefore, Krishna uses these two words, Nischalaha tishtati, Achalaha tishtati. Nischala means what? Samshaya rahita tishtati. Achala is viparyaya rahita tishtati. That is what Krishna emphasizes, that completion of this knowledge, assimilation of this knowledge, the one who has a jnani, who has assimilated, he abides in this knowledge after having removed all the doubts, and viparyaya, which is the past orientation. Even after gaining the knowledge of the self through Shravanam, there can be some doubts. And these doubts mainly arise because of various reasons. The first one is, very few of us know actually what is Advaita Siddhanta. We are either in Dvaitam or maximum through Puranas and stories that we have been told or we have read right from our childhood. For us, this world is a world of plurality. So suddenly, if some darshana comes up and says the plurality that you experience is only an illusion, it's Maya. Actually speaking, there is no plurality at all in this world. There is only one Atma, one Brahman. If somebody tells that, it is very, very difficult for our intellect to accept that. So this is the first problem, because of which we may have some doubts whether this is talking, something real, or and which is against my own personal experience. Is this what the Upanishads say? This kind of doubts can come up. Secondly, it is only the Advaita Siddhanta talks about Jivan Mukti, moksha here and now, while living in this life itself. Whereas we have always been told through the Puranas and the Bhagavatam and all that we read, moksha means what? After death, we have to go to Kailasha, Vaikunta, wherever it is, rather, some other loka we have to go. Then only we will get moksha. So all other darshanas, they talk about moksha after death, and that too after traveling to some other world. And when one is exposed to these different darshanas and comparing them with Advaita Darshana, there could be a lot of doubts. What type of doubts could be there? First of all, is Atma always free or is it always bound? Because if it is always bound, we cannot talk about Atma being free, liberation, freedom, moksha and all that. Second doubt is Atma limited or free from limitations? Ananta says, Satchit Anantam, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, says Taittiriya Upanishad. So this Anantam means what? Limitless. Is that my true nature? I don't see that at all. I am limited by space, I am limited by time. So is it correct? Another doubt. Is Atma mortal or is it free from time? Again, the Upanishads talk about eternity of this Atma. Atma never dies. What dies is only the body, mind, sense complex. This is the third doubt. Is Atma the truth of everything, or is it one of the many things in this world? Another question can come up. Is Atma the very cause of everything that is created here, or is it a product of creation? Because we have seen that for everything to be created, there has got to be a cause. So if Atma has been created, there has got to be a cause for Atma. Which is that cause? Then another very common doubt is Atma separate from every other Atma? That is, each body, mind, sense complex has got its own Atma, or is there only one Atma? Is Atma separate from the world or is it non-separate? Does Brahman undergo a change to become the world, or does it always remain the same, even though Brahman is stated to be the cause of the world? I mean, we can go on speculating about the doubts. Different people will have different doubts. And this list is no way complete. I mean, there could be a lot more doubts. So, in order to gain doubtless knowledge of the self, the sadhana of mananam is prescribed in the Shastra. What is this mananam? Mananam involves a critical analysis of the validity of all darshanas, whether it is Dvaitam, Visishtadvaitam, Advaitam, Bauddha Darshana, Jaina Darshana, all darshanas. Critically analyze, study all of them, critically analyze them. Using what? Using Nyaya as supporting logic based on one's own experience. In Mananam, one does not just go by what the Guru says. Because if it's an Advaita Guru, he is going to emphasize that Advaitam is the only truth. If it's a Visishta Advaitam Guru, he is going to emphasize that only Visishta Advaitam is the truth. Therefore, we cannot go by what one Guru says or other Guru says. Of course, one will go to a Guru. That Guru will teach everything about the darshana that he is teaching, that he belongs to. But after the teaching is over, that is after the Shravanam is over, enough you have heard, all these doubts can come up. And therefore, one has to make one's own analysis based upon the complete understanding of the message of the Upanishads. That's very, very important. And to gain the knowledge of the self free from doubts. And therefore, Mananam is a very important sadhana and needs to be undertaken till one is convinced of the truth of the Shruti Vakyas. This is what Bhagavan Krishna refers as Nischala, Samshaya Rahita Jnanam. And that is why one of the best texts for Mananam, analyzing the Shruti Vakyas from Nyaya angle, the logic angle, is what we call Nyaya Prasthanam, which is Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra has been commented upon by Adi Shankara, by Ramanujacharya. Both Visishta Advaitam and Advaitam. One needs to then study those Brahma Sutras and then get convinced which of the two views is the real message conveyed by the Upanishads. For that, first you must gain knowledge of the Upanishads. At least 5-6 Upanishads, including Bhagavad Gita, should be studied thoroughly before you even get into Brahma Sutra, the Mananam stage. And both the Acharyas, Ramanujacharya as well as Adi Shankaracharya, have presented their analysis of what is the Brahma Sutra talking about. And what we have to do is study them and then get convinced which one of the two is the real, truthfully reflecting what I have studied in Upanishads. So, even though Upanishads may contain certain contradictory statements, how both the Acharyas have handled those contradictory statements. Therefore, doubtless knowledge is very, very important for us to go to the next stage of the spiritual pursuit. So he talks about first Samshaya Rahita Jnanam Nischala. Then the next obstacle is even more difficult to overcome. And that is what I said, viparyaya. What is viparyaya? The habitual way of thinking, the habitual way of doing things. As they say, habits die hard. By doing mananam, by undertaking the sadhana mananam, one may gain doubt-free knowledge of the Atma, Brahman, the self. But that is not sufficient. In order to abide in that knowledge, one will need to get rid of the present misconceived notion which identifies the self with the body, mind, sense complex. It is so strong identification that it will take years and years sometimes for us to get rid of this. Because even after attending hundreds of Vedanta classes, if somebody comes across and asks you, who are you? Our spontaneous reply will be, I am so and so and so. I am a male, I am a female. I live in so and so place, etc. Isn't it? While stating so, you really believe that you are, even though Upanishad after Upanishad, chapter after chapter of Bhagavad Gita has told you that you are formless, you are nameless, you are beyond time and space. We have studied all that, very good. While listening to the Acharya, Guru, everything, oh, excellent, very good. I am learning Upanishads. I am learning about my true nature. But when we are put in a practical situation, what happens? In a moment, all this learning is gone and we are back to our own identification with the body, mind, sense complex. Therefore, we need to work on this. We have to disidentify ourselves from this wrong notion, from this misconceived notion that I am the body, mind, sense complex with the name and form, with the date of birth and the date of death we don't know, date of birth. We need to disidentify ourselves with all these things. Then only the assimilation of the self-knowledge, Atma Jnanam, will be complete. And to achieve this sadhana, a sadhana of Nididhyasanam or Vedantic meditation is prescribed. Therefore, Nididhyasanam does not give rise to any new knowledge. Nididhyasanam is a sadhana wherein we keep on recollecting in our mind, bringing to our mind the knowledge that we have gained in Shravanam. And even if some doubts are cropping up, we actually bring to our mind the clarification that we have gained in Mananam. And thus, Nididhyasanam helps in getting rid of the existing misconceived notions about the self. How this past habits, past orientation is strong is demonstrated in management, some of the management seminars. And in one of the seminars I attended, the person who was conducting the seminar, at the beginning of the seminar, he told everybody that where do you wear your wristwatch? Many people were wearing it on the left hand. Some people were wearing their wristwatch on the right hand. So he told, beginning of the session, it's a 1 hour session, that if you are wearing the wristwatch on your left hand, please shift it to your right hand. And if you are wearing it on the right hand, please shift the wristwatch to your left hand. That's all. Exercise. So within 2-3 minutes, everybody did that. Then he started presentation of his topic and all that. And at the end of the session, he asked everybody, where is your wristwatch now? Everybody found that the wristwatch was there in the hand where they used to wear it regularly. Even though just 1 hour ago, they shifted it to the other hand, during the course of this session, unconsciously, they have actually taken it out and put it back in the original place where they used to wear it regularly. This is the strength of past orientation. Unless we are very mindful about this while doing nididhyasanam, even nididhyasanam can take us immediately, spontaneously to the past orientation. Therefore, unless we get rid of this notion, aham samsari, I am my body, mind, sense complex. Unless we get rid of this notion completely, neither nididhyasanam will be complete, nor the knowledge assimilation will be complete. And so once the samshaya and viparyaya obstacles are removed, there is jnana, knowledge. And that is what he calls as yoga here in this. Yogam avapsyasi, he says, right? That jnanam is referred to as yoga. Jnanam can be called yoga, and also the means of knowledge, a pramanam also can be called yoga. A state of mind can also be called yoga. The word yoga, as I say, has got many meanings, and we have to interpret the word depending upon the context. Here, the context does not permit us to take the word yoga as simple karma yoga or ashtanga yoga or any other yoga. Because in the same shloka, Bhagavan is talking about achala nischala jnanam. Therefore, the yoga he refers to can only be the jnanam, that is the real yoga, which Bhagavan later in the 6th chapter will define as dukkha sanyoga viyoga. Disassociation from your association with pain, dukkha. This means what? There is nothing that you have to do except be yourself, your real true self. Because we have been associated with dukkha all along because of our aviveka, lack of discrimination. And that causes us to take on limitations of things that are different from us. We superimpose the limitations of all other things on us. Then we say, I am limited. But this, to understand, to feel, to say that I am limited is a very unnatural state from the standpoint of our swarupa. That is why we are unable to accept that statement even though we make it. It militates, the limitation that we superimpose upon ourselves militates against the limitlessness of our nature. And when that happens, there is a conflict, there is dukkha. And this is what it's called dukkha sanyoga. Association with dukkha. So disassociation from this association with dukkha is brought about by what? By removing the aviveka, by having viveka, by having discriminative knowledge, by understanding the difference between Atma and Anatma. When the viveka is very clear, meaning that I know very clearly that everything is myself. There is Atma in everything and I have also Atma, that is common. And also that I am free from everything, every limitation. That is real yoga, Paramartha yoga. And that's what Bhagavan tells Arjuna. If you follow what all I have told in this second chapter, of course he doesn't say second chapter, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, both these, if you practice, if you gain knowledge, then you will gain the real Jnana. Yogam avapsyasi, you will become a Jnani. That's what he says. Adi Shankara in his commentary gives the meaning of the word yoga in this sloka as Viveka Prajna. Thus making it clear that the word yoga in this verse is nothing but discriminative knowledge of the Atma and Anatma. When true discrimination is lacking, dukkha or sorrow is the result. So now, having talked mainly so far about Karma Yoga and Sankhya, which is what we saw from 11 to 25 verses. In this verse, Bhagavan sums up everything he has said so far. The first line, Shruti Vipratipannate Yada Stasyasi Nischala, refers to Karma Yoga. And the second line, Samadha Vachala Buddhihi Tada Yogam Avapsyasi, refers to Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga. So having thus summed up the whole, in fact, it's summing up is in the beginning. Again, he will do a summing up in the 18th chapter. This is some sort of a, what they call executive summary, as they call typically, when there is a large document. I'm using a lot of corporate jargon because I'm used to that. So when you are sending a large document to your seniors, your bosses, normally you have to prepare an executive summary of what that entire document is about. And this executive summary will be 1 or 2 pages. By reading that, the boss will not waste too much time in reading the whole document. He will just understand what this is all about. And then he can take a decision either way to approve it or not approve it without reading the whole thing. Or if the executive summary makes a lot of sense, then the boss may actually go ahead and read the whole document. Similarly, here also in the second chapter, by talking about the 2 main sadhanas in the spiritual journey, Karma Yoga and Sankhya Yoga or Jnana Yoga, Bhagavan has presented an executive summary of what is to come in the whole of Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna must have felt that, okay, I have done a good job. I have presented it very well to Arjuna. He has been listening to me very carefully all along. He has not interrupted me. So Bhagavan might have paused for Arjuna to respond. This is the indication of all good acharyas. They will, after their teaching is over, they will give an opportunity for the students to raise questions. So here also, Arjuna has listened to him patiently. So Bhagavan gives a pause, waiting for Arjuna to respond to what he has learned. And we have to learn a great lesson from this. Not only while teaching, but also generally. We need to learn not to interrupt when the other person is talking. And this is one of the problems that I have faced, especially, I don't know about other places, in India. Overseas, they have followed this discipline in meetings, everything. In India, we are all so intellectually, embellished. that even while the other person is talking, we think of what we should answer him. We analyze what he is trying to say. We analyze his hidden agenda and all that, and we interrupt him and stop him there itself. If you want proof of this, just watch all the debates in all the, the news channels. Nobody has got the patience to listen to the other fellow to see what fully he says. Many times I have to be little bit rude to people when they do this to me. I will tell them, have you listened to me completely? I have not finished what I have to say. Please keep quiet till I finish, and then I will give you an opportunity to tell what you want to tell. So therefore, this is a discipline, nothing to do with Advaita, with Siddhartha or Bhagavad Gita. Each one of us have to develop, and it's a very difficult discipline because of the viparyaya obstacle, past orientation. We have always been doing this, interrupting other people when they are talking. We have to consciously practice it, and then only we will gain control over that. But Arjuna was seasoned enough to know this, and therefore he waits for Krishna to stop talking before opening his mouth. So with this 53rd sloka, Lord Krishna concludes his teaching to Arjuna. And in this portion, beginning from the 11th verse onwards, till the 53rd verse, Bhagavan has summarized the entire Vedic teaching. Which teaching talks about the spiritual life of a seeker as designed by the Vedas. And we can very openly claim that this portion is the essence of the entire Vedic teaching. That's why the second chapter is a very important chapter. We have to assimilate what has been taught in the second chapter very well. All the other later chapter, that is from the 3rd chapter up to the 18th chapter, is only unfolding of this particular teaching, consisting of Karma Yoga Sadhana and Jnana Yoga Sadhana. And therefore, this portion, 11 to 53 verses of 2nd chapter, is like a foundation upon which the 16-storied Bhagavad Gita building is going to be raised from 3rd chapter onwards to the 18th chapter. Therefore, we must remember this portion very well. We should regularly read, reread. If we are serious about spiritual pursuit, I mean, if it is all entertainment, Bhagavad Gita, then it's a different thing altogether. But if you are very serious about moksha pursuit, this is the goal I've set for myself, and I am going to give up everything to pursue this. Therefore, we must be constantly in touch with the content of this portion. And unless this is assimilated well, the benefit that we derive from the later chapters will not be proportional to our endeavors, our efforts. So, your familiarity with this portion will make, when you study the other chapters, will make a lot of sense to you. And if we forget this portion, later chapters will not give us that much impact. Because Bhagavad Gita, chapter-wise, if you see, you can separate them into different topics. But there is a thread which is running through the whole Bhagavad Gita, thread of Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. So at every time that we read any chapter, any verse, any sloka, in our mind, we must be able to connect those threads, those contexts rather. What context is Krishna talking about this? What context is Arjuna raising this question? because it's a samvada, it's a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. Therefore, if we remember this portion very well, that is, I'm again emphasizing verses 11 to 53 of the second chapter. If this is very well studied and remembered, we have a very strong foundation that the later 16 chapters will be very interesting and also well assimilated. And therefore, Swami Paramathananda advises that we should read this portion off and on and remember the ideas in this portion. Remember that this portion talks only about two topics, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Karma Yoga is a religious way of life in which we give importance to spiritual progress in life, and material progress is considered subservient, secondary to spiritual progress. We try to bring more and more Ishvara into our life. We must remember the purpose of Karma Yoga is not to give moksha. Purpose of Karma Yoga is Chitta Shuddhi. And Chitta Shuddhi we can get only by leading a religious life or a life of Karma Yoga. All more details we will see about Karma Yoga in the third chapter. So once a person goes through such a religious life of Karma Yoga, the mind will become sufficiently mature to go into Jnana Yoga, which is nothing but the study of my own nature. And this Jnana Yoga was also given from verse 11 to 25, where Krishna clearly pointed out that I am not the body, which is only a medium for interaction with the world. I am not the mind also, which is another medium for interaction. Just as a spectacle has got two lenses, the body and mind are like two media with which I interact with the world. And when I sleep, when I am in deep sleep, both these media, the body and the mind, are resolved temporarily, and our transaction with the world stops. But even when the transactions stop, I continue to exist as a conscious being, a non-transacting conscious being. And what Krishna taught us was, it is this conscious being which is my true nature. This body and mind media are only incidental instruments. As long as they are there, I will transact with the world. When they are folded up, I will stop my transaction. Transactions will come and go, but I, the pure consciousness, pure conscious being, will never come and go. Na jayate mriyate va kadachet. And then achedyo yamadhakyo yam akledyo sochyaye vacha. All that mantras we have said. So that pure conscious being is my nature, and this recognition, assimilation of this knowledge is called self-knowledge. And this self-knowledge alone liberates a person from the fear of death, from the fear of old age, because I know that the body is not myself. It is a shell which I make use of. Like everything that is born has to die, I am fully convinced, so that I have fully understood that this body also one day will die. That does not mean I am going to die. I am eternal. And thus the Jnana Yoga will lead to self-discovery, the real self, discovery of the real self. Therefore, the entire Vedic design of life is practice Karma Yoga, prepare the mind, practice Jnana Yoga, discover the self, and remove samshaya and viparyaya, and thus be free from all limitations, and all limitation caused problems. Samsara and samsara caused problems. And this is the essence of Gita, and this is the essence of the Vedas also. So as I said, After the 53rd sloka, Krishna pauses, indicating that Arjuna can now raise any doubts or questions he has. In the 18th chapter, Arjuna tells that all his misconceptions, delusions are put to rest. Hey Krishna, I will do as you say. In the 18th chapter, he says that. But here Arjuna does not say that. He waits for, because Arjuna has got a lot of doubts in his mind, lot of questions in his mind. What he has studied is only executive summary of the Gita. If he had said that, okay, Krishna, I read the executive summary, everything is very clear to me, Bhagavad Gita would be over immediately. Krishna would say, Om Tat Sat, and then continue. But then, as I said, the Gita is a samvada. Krishna taught Arjuna, Arjuna asked questions. Because here we must remember that Arjuna is representing all of us. That you are Brahman is not a statement which is just to be believed, blindly believed. There is no use in Arjuna walking away thinking, Krishna has told me that I am eternal, I am Brahman, I am limitless. Therefore, I must be eternal, I must be Brahman. No question of that. This is the whole difference between our culture and other religions, rather. There they are told you are this period. They have to believe. They are based on beliefs. We are based on analysis, mimamsa. Our religion is based upon critical analysis of what we are being told, either by the Shastra or by the Guru. And that is why we have got commentaries after commentaries after commentaries. To do our own self-analysis of what is being taught. A belief requires no explanation at all. You just believe. The only requirement is somebody should state that belief. Pujya Swamiji says, why people write about belief is beyond comprehension. All that is required is belief need to be stated honestly. Stating a belief is exactly what a belief is. And of course, he says, if there is something to support that belief, that also can be stated. However, when something is to be understood, there are only two possibilities. Either it will remain not understood or it will remain understood, regardless of the number of books written on the subject. In other words, it can be understood by reading only one book, and in spite of reading every book on the subject, it can remain not understood. And here, the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita is a thing to be understood. In fact, Krishna himself will say later, during the, I don't remember where, which chapter, he says, may you gain this knowledge by asking proper questions, Arjuna. If you ask the right questions, you will get the right answer. Even if you ask the wrong question, as Arjuna does in the next verse, you may still get the right answer. And we must remember that Arjuna's questions are our questions. They need not necessarily be the logical sequence of the questions. Many times that's what we also do, isn't it? Totally unconnected questions we will ask. But the answer that you get will finally find a connection with the topic. So Arjuna asks a question which on the face of it appears to have no connection with what Krishna has taught so far. But we will see that now. What he asks and later on what Krishna replies. Arjuna uvacha tita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava Stitadhir kim prabhasheta kimasita vrajeta kim. Anvaya is, He Keshava, ka bhasha stita prajnasya samadhistasya, we can add within bracket cha. Kim stitadihi prabhasheta, kim asita, kim vrajeta. This is the Anvaya. Arjuna uvacha, Arjuna asked, He Keshava, O Krishna, ka bhasha, what is the description of whom? Stita prajnasya, of the wise man. Samadhistasya, who is established in the Atma. Kim, how does Stitadihi, the wise man, Prabhasheta, speak? Kim asita, how does he sit? Kim vrajeta, how does he walk? So Arjuna is asking, O Krishna, what is the description of a wise man who is established in the self? How does a wise man speak? How does he sit? How does he walk? Is there any connection between all these questions? And all that Krishna has taught till now? Arjuna is a practical person like all of us. Why he is asking this question at this stage is, he wants to know whether there will be any practical benefit of this spiritual sadhana. Because he has talked about jnanam and jnani and all that. Arjuna is not interested in merely academic knowledge. He does not want to say, oh, okay, very good. I know I have learned Gita from Krishna himself. I also know Gita. I have also studied Gita. That is not his intention. He wants to know whether there will be a transformation in my life. By going through this entire samvada, whether my life will be meaningfully transformed. Whether I will get any benefit out of this Gita study, because especially nowadays, people consider time as very valuable. And of course, Arjuna also must have considered his time as very valuable. On the one hand, he has come to fight the war. On the other hand, he wanted to run away because he's seeing all those people. So he needs to take a quick decision what he's supposed to do. So he wants to know, okay, Krishna started something saying Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga and all. Is it something valuable that I must spend time and listen to Krishna, the remaining portion? And this we have seen here also. Many people, most of the people rather, I would say, do not understand the value of Gita. Many people feel that when they are having a job, when they are working, they are doing very well in their career and in their life, going around the world, visiting places, enjoying all the good things that money can get you. They feel that attending these Gita classes and all is a waste of their precious time. Therefore, we mostly find only retired senior citizens attending these classes, and this is true of even Swami Paramathananda's classes. Arjuna is also a very busy person, therefore, he wants to know whether he will have any practical benefit. And with that in mind, Arjuna raises a question. What is the question? Suppose there is a person who successfully goes through both stages of spiritual sadhana. That is, he follows a religious life of karma yoga, he prepares the mind, and then he withdraws from all activities and embarks upon a self-inquiry. And let us assume that he is able to discover the self. He gets the he is able to gain the jnanam and assimilate that jnanam also. He gets conviction in this teaching and he is totally satisfied with this teaching. Suppose there is such a person whom we call a jnani. And Arjuna gives a special title for this jnani in this sloka. Not only one title, he gives him 2-3 titles. First he says Stita Prajna. The word Prajna also refers to a jnani. Stita Prajna means the one whose knowledge is free from all doubts, free from all vagueness. Such a person of conviction is called Stita Prajna. And he gives another title to this person. Samadhistaha, the one who is ever established in his true nature. We have already seen in the previous sloka, the word samadhi means atma. Samadhi here does not mean meditative trance, like it is defined in Yoga Sutras or in Ashtanga Yoga. In this context, samadhi means atma. Bhashyakara, Adi Shankara defines samadhi in his commentary on this verse as that into which everything resolves. That is atma. Samyak adhiyate chittam asmin iti samadhihi atma, he says in his bhashya. So the word samadhistaha, we have to interpret as the one who is ever established in his true nature. So samadhistaha means atmanishta, the one who abides in his true nature. Now, what do you mean by abiding in true nature? It means the one who does not forget his real nature, even during day-to-day transactions. Because the problem most of us face, or a student faces, is while studying the scriptures, everything looks very fine. We accept that fact that I am different from the body, I am different from the mind, I am Sachidananda Atma. All these things, we will nod our head very well. Guru is teaching. Wow, great Guru. He has taught us such things. All this is fully accepted and admired. But as Swami Paramarthananda says, of course, his classes, he holds it in halls where people remove their chappal, their sandals and shoes outside the hall and come to attend the class. He says, the problem is, once the class is over, people go out and put on their sandals or chappals or leg wears, or in our case, switches off the Zoom. Then the relatively egoistic, petty, worldly, bankrupt personality comes to the fore, and then all the transaction problems also come along with them. Therefore, it is not enough that I know my nature. This knowledge must help me in my day-to-day transaction. I must carry this knowledge every moment in everything I do in my life, in my every interaction with this world. And this knowledge is very critical, especially when there is a crisis. Especially when there are problems, this knowledge must bless me, help me remain cool and tranquil. And such a person for whom this knowledge is easily accessible, spontaneously available, is called Samadhistaha, the one who never forgets his nature. So till now, 2 titles for such a person, for a jnani, Stita Prajna and Samadhistaha. Then the 3rd title also Arjuna gives. The person who has actually passed through these 2 stages, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, and that is Stitadhihi. Stitadhi, we can very roughly say, it's the same as Stita Prajna. Dihi means jnana. Stitadihi means a person of clear knowledge, doubtless knowledge. For him, this knowledge is a fact. It is not information coming from the Upanishads or Bhagavad Gita. It is not an hypothesis given by some Swami or a Guru. But just as 2 plus 2 is 4 is a fact for me, this knowledge also is a fact for me. Similarly, I am the Atma must be a fact for me. Adi Shankara says, Hasta Amalakavat. What is Hasta Amalakavat? Like you are holding one gooseberry in your hand. Amalaka is what the Nellika we call in Tamil, no? Amalaka. It's a fact. There is a gooseberry in your hand and you see it. You know it's a fact that I have a gooseberry in my hand. Similarly, I am the Atma must be very clear as a fact to me. Such a person is called Stitadihi. Therefore, all these three words talk about Jnani, Sitaprajna, Samadhistaha, and Stitadihi. So now Arjuna wants to know what is the description of this Jnani. This is the normal tendency for all of us, isn't it? When we hear about someone who is a Mahatma or has achieved something great, immediately our curiosity is to know more about him. We have a sense of awe and wonder that a human being like us has achieved such a great feat. So even when we learn about these Olympic champions or cricket players who are in the national team, why? Even cinema actors, we are curious to know all details about them, their attitude, their behavior, their lifestyle, etc. How it is going to help us, we never even think about it. Such people are called celebrities. And there are scores of magazines and pages in newspapers dedicated to such people. I remember, of course, I stopped reading Times of India a long time after I went to the ashram. But I remember there used to have a page 3 in Times of India long ago for such celebrities from the cinema field. Everything that they did, they will be reported in the page 3, and every day it will be there. Yesterday, where they ate, which party they attended, all these things will be there in the page. Why they do it? Because they know that people are curious to know about all these things, and that sells for a newspaper. And of course, at this stage, Arjuna is no exception. He has heard about Jnanis and he wants to know more about them. So he asks, Hey Krishna, please describe the characteristic of such a Jnani. Sthitaprajnasya ka bhasha. Here, bhasha means description, not language. What is the description of a Jnani? How does he talk? How does he move around? How does he sit, etc.? Please give the description of a Jnani so that I can decide whether to become a Jnani or not. Is it worth the effort or not? If it is not, I will withdraw from the next class. So, let me be practical. Therefore, ka bhasha. Then kim prabhasheta. How will he talk to people? Is there any difference in the way he communicates with others? Or will he not talk at all? Whether he will be a mauni jnani, always in meditation, and therefore does not talk at all. If he talks, how will he talk? Will he talk like we do, or will he talk in a different manner? Kim prabhasheta. Kim asita. How will he sit? How will the jnani sit? Arjuna perhaps thinks that a jnani may perhaps sit always in some padmasana with jnana mudra, or a jnani will always sit, do shirasasana without touching, or sometimes jnani will sit without touching the ground. Or will he sit on like Bhishma, Sharasaya, on this, arrows, bed of arrows. Katamasita, how will he sit at all? Will he be walking always? In fact, if you go to Badrinath and Kedarnath, you will see that all varieties of people doing all kinds of things by sannyasis. People take sannyasi in some, sannyasa in some emotional burst. And once they take sannyasa is a one-way route. You can't come back to grihastha from that. And then once they take sannyasa, they don't know what to do with their sannyasa and with their time. If there is no guru, sannyasa ashrama is the most dangerous ashrama. Not knowing what they do, they will do all kinds of things. Swami Paramatmananda says one person does not want to sit at all. Therefore, on top of a branch of a tree, he has hung a cradle and he uses that as a prop and he permanently stands there. And his legs have become swollen. And sleeping also, he sleeps over that only. And in front of his, he has put one cloth for getting some money from people. So having taken sannyasa ashrama, many people do not know what to do with their times. Scriptures are there to guide, gurus are there to guide. If one does not have scriptural guidance and guru's guidance, they will do all kinds of torturous things and not reaching anywhere. And there afterwards, they take to drugs also like ganja, hafim, etc. These are all, if you go to Uttarakanchi, they are all very freely available there. So this is one has to be very, very careful. One has to understand. That is why Arjuna is asking all these questions. Who is this Jnani? What does he do? Etc. More we will see in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all very much.
Namaskaram.
Thank you.
Namaskaram,
Namaskaram.
Guruji. Thank you.
Namaskaram.
Thank you so much, Guruji. Namaskaram.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Namaste, Guruji. Namaste.
Thank you,
Namaste.
Guruji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dhanyawad, Guruji.
Dhanyawad. Thank you.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, any questions? I don't see any hand going up.
I have a question, Guruji.
Yeah, please then. Come.
Anjali here. Yeah.
Yeah, Anjali, thank you.
This Nididhyasana is, you said, getting rid of the wrong habitual practices.
Yes.
That is little bit you can dwell on this. Nididhyasana, I want to understand something more on this.
See, Nididhyasana basically is a Vedantic meditation. And what do we meditate upon? In normal meditation, we will have an alambana, some form or something that we will meditate upon. Even people who are in the spiritual pursuit at a later stage of spiritual pursuit, they will be told to meditate upon Om. Sannyasis especially. Sannyasis, they meditate upon Om as a sound symbol, not as a form. You must be you must understand this very carefully. They meditate upon Om as a sound symbol and they recall in their mind Om sound silently. They won't say Om, but then it will be Omkara will be, reverberating in their mind. But Nididhyasanam is not this kind of a meditation. Nididhyasanam is the purpose of other meditation. The purpose is to focus our mind, to bring concentration of our mind and to direct our mind to where we want the mind to go. That is the purpose of normal meditation. Chitta Naischalyam. Chitta Naischalyam means steady mind, so that we can tell the mind, go do this and go there. You are not led by the mind, you lead the mind. That is the purpose of normal meditation, which is people practice now. Whereas Nididhyasanam is bringing to your mind, contemplating upon the knowledge that Aham Brahmasmi. I am not this body, mind, sense complex. I must get rid of this orientation, which I have been considering myself all along. How do you do it? As I gave you the watch example. Even after studying everything, even after having doubt-free, samshaya-rahita knowledge, when we come to the world, when we start interacting with the world, the old past orientation will spontaneously come. Somebody calls you, you are an idiot.
That will come.
You immediately, who the hell are you to call me idiot? Why did you call me idiot? You will immediately react like that, isn't it? So we have to get rid of this. If somebody calls you idiot, smile. This fellow doesn't know who I am. I am Brahman. He is wrongly, mistakenly taking me for my body mind complex. I am not that. So he is not actually addressing me at all when he is calling me idiot. Or somebody says, oh, you are such a great person. You are a Mahatma, this, that, and all. Again, you smile. This fellow doesn't know. I am not Mahatma. I am only Brahman. Right? I am formless, nameless, and gunaless entity. I am pure conscious being. So this knowledge for us to, go and be assimilated, and for us to abide in that knowledge, again, is not very easy. So Nididhyasanam can last for 1 month, or it can last for 100 years. It can last life after life also. There is no time limit. Depends upon how much you are able to, actually, when you sit for Nididhyasanam also, what will happen? All thoughts will come. Whenever you close your eyes and sit, if you are not sleeping, immediately the mind will bring all sorts of thoughts. So you have to first remove all them, allow them to pass, and then bring your mind back to Aham Brahmasmi thought. It takes a long time, Nididhyasanam. Some people who are actually, it's like anything else. Rather. Some people get it quickly. Some people will take a long time. Ultimately, the success of Nididhyasanam can easily be gauged or can be measured. How, when you interact with other people, other in the world, how your reaction is, how your response is. That will be the final proof of whether you have got this knowledge assimilated or not. That does not mean you have to cut yourself away from the world. All your transactions, because world does not know that you are Brahman. Only you know that you are Brahman, right? Everybody will consider you as the past person only. They don't know difference. But when you react with them, when you interact with them, all that you will have will be love, compassion, understanding, and trying to help people where you can help without expecting anything in return. I can do, I will do, whether physically, monetarily, in any manner, emotionally. That is why we see, the very living example that I have experienced is Pujya Swamiji. When you go to the presence of such people itself, your mind totally relaxes, because you know for sure this other person does not have any agenda for you. He has only love, affection, compassion for you. So you must reach that stage. And it is not that it is impossible. We must be serious about, committed to what we want to achieve in the life. In this life or maybe later life, it doesn't matter, man. If you have started the journey now, continue with all seriousness till you reach there. That is what is Nididhyasanam helps us. It doesn't give us any new knowledge, rather.
Understood. Understood, Guruji.
Thank you.
Guruji, if nobody has a question, then I have one more question. If anybody else is
no, Sulekha ji has raised her hand, but you can ask one more question, then I will go to Sulekha.
No, because my question is a little, maybe you feel out of syllabus, then you can say that, no, I don't want to answer this. But you have mentioned about Advaita Siddhanta of Shankaracharya and Vishishta Advaita Siddhanta of Ramanujacharya. So, is it so that Advaita Siddhanta focuses on that liberation is through Jnana Yoga, and Vishishta Advaita Siddhanta focuses on liberation through Bhakti Yoga? Is this perception correct?
No. Bhakti is there in both. Vishishta Advaita says that you cannot equate yourself to Ishvara. Advaita Siddhanta says there is no difference between you and Ishvara. Jiva is equal to Ishvara is Advaita Siddhanta. Vishishta Advaita Siddhanta is Jiva is not equal to Ishvara. Jiva is a part of Ishvara.
Okay.
They look at Ishvara as one entity and each Jiva as a part of that entity. So you cannot say, for Advaita Siddhanta, there is only one Atma, one Brahman, which is pervading this entire world. For Vishishta Advaita, there are separate Atma. You are a separate Atma. I am a separate Atma. So we can never be equated. So that is what is Vishishta Advaita Siddhanta.
Okay.
They still accept that Atma is common.
But it is Amsha. Atma is Amsha of Paramatma.
It is Amsha. That's why Amsha Amshi Bhava is there in Vishishta Advaita. Whereas in Shuddha Advaita, there is no Amsha Amshi Bhava. It is sameness. And Bhagavad Gita, whenever Bhagavan Krishna will talk about Samatvam, he is talking about Advaita Siddhanta only.
Okay.
So that is how we will see more and more about Advaita Siddhanta, how Bhagavad Gita unfolds that.
Okay. Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you. Hari Om. Yes, Sulekha ji.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Just going back to Nididhyasana, and thank you for the clarification. I'm still wondering, in each and every stage of the process, Ishvara is part of it. The next stage cannot come until we have the grace and the blessings of Ishvara, correct?
Absolutely.
And then
correct.
my second clarification, if you can, is that the process of understanding whether or not you're progressing along the journey is through the interactions and the actions that you have with others and that others have with you. Is that correct?
Well, that is only a sort of what you may call a testing stone, in the sense that...
Sorry about
yeah,
the
that's
noise.
okay. That's okay. See, basically, once you understand, you assimilate the knowledge that Aham Brahmasmi, that is the end of the story, actually speaking. But how do I know that I have reached that stage? So that I will know only when I interact with the world like I have been doing earlier. And when I do that, am I responding, am I reacting in the same way as I used to do earlier, or is my response different from that? If somebody has promised me to give something and he doesn't, stick to his promise, do I get angry? Even if I get angry, am I able to reconcile and immediately quieten my mind, remove that emotion of anger from my mind very quickly? Am I able to recover? These are all some sort of, practical test we can give ourselves to know whether we have assimilated the... Otherwise, how will we know whether we have assimilated the knowledge? There is not going to be any examination where we are asked questions and then we have to write an answer, nothing like that. So we have to test it against the practicality of our interaction with the world. That is all it is.
Thank you,
Is that
Guruji. Thank you.
That clarified? Okay.
It clarifies, and it's very much appreciated. Sorry for the noise. We have
No,
three
that's
dogs.
okay. I can understand.
Apologies.
When we have Zoom classes at home, there could be possibilities of this, and especially when you are unmuted. That's okay.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you.
Thank
Hari
you.
Om.
Any more question? No other hands are raised. So shall we close the session? Okay. Hari Om. So we will all meet next Saturday.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Thank
Hari
you.
Om,
Thank you all.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank
Hari Om.
you, Guruji.
Thank you.